Going back a few years ago, a national park ranger submitted an interesting photograph. The sender started off by saying that they work in California and that they often find themselves outdoors, and this is because of their job. On one particular occasion, they were with their friend out in the wilderness when they came across something they couldn't explain. The person details how their friend called them over because he had found something bizarre. At first, the pair couldn't believe what they were looking at, and the only way they could describe it was that it appeared to be the arm of a large humanoid. After the friend kicked it, they could see the arm was almost double the size of that of an average man's. The ranger detailed that it had brown fur and seemed to be missing the thumb, although noted that the bone was still present. The friends then remembered that they had a piece of black tarpaulin in their truck, and so they grabbed it and placed the arm on it, noting that it was very hairy and that they could even see tendons. The current whereabouts of the arm is unknown, although the uploader did answer some questions that people had, including the size and weight of it, again saying that it was much larger than a human's arm. Although this story sounds incredible, it's important to note that various people throughout the years have tried to fake evidence. One of the issues that skeptics point out is that it's easy to fake evidence, saying that in this day and age, there's money involved in faking this type of evidence. Molds can be purchased online, which can be used to create tracks. As of right now, until the arm has been tested, it's hard to say for certain what it is. Many will say that the earliest report of mysterious humanoids dates back to 1811, when British explorer and trader David Thompson discovered large footprints while exploring what is now Jasper National Park in Alberta, Canada. However, it wasn't until the 1950s that the creature entered the mainstream media. Interestingly, the Native Americans, along with the Aboriginal Australians, have both detailed this humanoid creature, and this has caused amateur researchers to say that these are the earliest reports. As of right now, the large hairy humanoid said to be living throughout Australia is not officially recognised by science, but the original inhabitants of Australia have said that it lives in the Australian wilderness. It's described as a large, bipedal hominid, similar to the creatures encountered across North America. According to the Aboriginal legends, the creature has been part of their culture and beliefs for thousands of years. It's known by many different names among the various indigenous groups across Australia. It's often described as a powerful, intelligent and elusive creature that avoids human contact, but sometimes interferes with their daily activities, such as hunting. Many Aboriginal accounts of the creature describe it as a spiritual being, a protector of the land, and a messenger between the physical and spiritual worlds. Some believe that it has the ability to shapeshift and that it can take on different forms depending on the situation. In recent times, there have been many reported sightings of this humanoid creature across Australia, particularly in the dense forests and mountainous regions. The Ohio Grassman is believed to be a humanoid creature that's commonly sighted across the state of Ohio. Unlike typical sightings, the Ohio Grassman appears to have glowing red or orange eyes that are believed to illuminate on their own, rather than being reflections of the light. Witness descriptions claim the creature to stand around 6 to 7 feet in height and weigh an estimated 300 pounds. The creature's physical description is commonly compared to being an ape-like creature, though typically seen standing on 2 legs, unlike the average ape or monkey species. Ancient Ohio Native American legends of wild men. According to Native American literature from Ohio, the tribes native to the state claimed to have encountered a race of humans that were similar in description to apes. Although the legends are of an unknown age, the last known encounter with one of these ape-like humanoid creatures supposedly took place sometime during the early 1700s. According to the Iroquois tribe, they were terrified of their large size and appearance, with the tribal members holding rituals in which they would leave food out in areas believed to have belonged to the ape-like humans, referred to as the wild ones of the woods, in order to help maintain peace. The 1800s traveling merchant encounter. Several legends recorded during the late 1800s claim that large, hairy creatures were often seen roaming along the banks of the Ohio River. In one story, a merchant had claimed that as he was riding in his carriage alongside the Ohio River, one of the creatures had ran against the cart and attacked it. However, before the creature could completely pull the merchant out of the carriage, the daughter of the merchant had scared the beast away after throwing several stones at it. The original Ohio Grassman sighting. The first recorded sighting of the Ohio Grassman is believed to have been reported outside the small town of Minerva, Ohio, back during the summer of 1978. According to the official report, a married couple by the name of Evelyn and Hal Clayton claimed that while they had been tasked with babysitting their grandchildren, they encountered an ape-like humanoid creature described as standing at around 6 feet in height, weighing an estimated 300 pounds and covered from head to toe in dark matted fur. At the time of the sighting, the grandparents were unaware of legends surrounding claims of the creature and so believed that it was far more supernatural in its appearance. According to Evelyn and Hal Clayton, the elderly couple had let their grandchildren play outside in the front yard of their home when suddenly the group of kids ran into the house screaming and crying. Unsure of what was happening, the grandparents consoled the kids and asked them why they were upset. From what could be gathered, the grandparents claimed that the children and their friends had been playing together near a gravel pit outside when they saw a large hairy animal slowly coming towards them. At first, the creature appeared to be standing at a distance, watching the children from afar, but slowly travelled closer and closer to the group, before standing on its hind legs and walking over to the kids in long strides. Terrified of the creature, the children ran inside. At first, the grandparents had assumed that the children and their friends had encountered a native bear species, as bears are known for keeping their distance while stalking prey only to come in for an attack when they feel adequately capable or when natural food sources dwindle. This would cause the elderly couple to grab a few firearms and exit their house to go investigate the claims of the monster near the gravel pit. Once Evelyn and Hal Clayton reached the area of the gravel pit, they would quickly realize that the unknown creature was definitely not a bear. The Claytons would describe the creature as being a large ape man, seemingly rolling around and playing in the gravel pit where the children had been. At first, the creature had not noticed the Claytons until Evelyn had made a terrified shriek, which caused the monster to suddenly stand on its 2 legs and turn to the couple. It would be at this moment that the elderly couple would claim to have seen the creature with a nearly perfect view, describing the monster as standing at an estimated 6 feet in height, weighing somewhere around 300 pounds and completely covered from head to toe in a hard matted fur. Before the creature could react any further, the couple would run back into the house and barricade the building, telling the children to stay together, though the monster had failed to follow the couple and appeared to disappear shortly after. This initial encounter would not be the final sighting that the elderly couple would claim to experience, as the bizarre ape-like monster was consistently spotted throughout the surrounding area over the course of several years. During another reported encounter, the Claytons would describe seeing the creature peering into their home through a closed glass window while they had been preparing to go to bed. According to Evelyn Clayton, she spotted the creature pressed up against the window, which then caused her to let out a loud scream. At this point, Hal Clayton also spotted the creature and immediately went to grab something to defend himself with. However, by the time Hal returned to the window, the creature had already disappeared into the nearby woodlands. Worried that the unknown creature would return to their home, the Claytons would call the local Minerva Police Department shortly after their sighting and file an official police report on the matter. Although the local law enforcement were unable to corroborate any sightings of the creature upon closer examination of the area outside their window, the police would claim to observe several large footprints in the mud that appeared to support their claim of a large animal somewhere in the region. The police report would also make mention of a terrible lingering smell that was described as smelling similar to rotten eggs. At another time, the Claytons would claim to see the same unexplainable creature standing near a hilltop, several hundred yards from where they had been going for a stroll. Several days later, the elderly couple would go investigate the hilltop and discover that the area had once been a strip mine and most likely went through the hill for several tens of thousands of square feet. Believing that the hill could have been an entrance into a deep cavern that housed the creature, the Claytons would quietly observe the hill from a remote location for several weeks. According to the elderly couple, roughly after a month of observing the hilltop strip mine, they would spot 2 hairy ape-like creatures walking around the hilltop and seemingly disappearing into the strip mine entrance. It was at this point that the Claytons believed that the creatures must have been living inside the strip mine and that there could have been a whole family of the monsters. The Claytons also believed that the many reported disappearing dogs were evidence of the creatures invading the nearby area. Several weeks prior to their grandchildren spotting the monster in the gravel pit, the Claytons had discovered their German shepherd with its neck broken, laid inside the gravel pit, and believed that the mysterious creatures were the ones responsible. Some have made the connection between this creature and the Honey Island swamp monster. The Honey Island swamp monster is typically described by eyewitnesses as standing at a height of roughly 7.5 feet and weighing more than 500 pounds. The creature is reported as being covered in a thick coat of matted brown or grey hair that covers the creature from head to toe. In some isolated sightings, the fur of the creature was also wrapped in a large mound of pondweed. The eyes of the creature are often described as being yellow in colour. One of the more noticeable traits of the creature is that of its odour, which has been referred to by eyewitnesses as being repulsive. The creature has also been reported under several different names, such as the Honey Island ape, the Honey Island creature, the Louisiana Wookiee, and the swamp monster of Louisiana. As of right now, many researchers who've looked into these cases have said that each of these creatures have a similar design, and this has caused some to suggest that there's different variations of these humanoids. Although these sightings seem like a modern-day phenomena, encounters go back to the original inhabitants, and we even have cave paintings that depict large humanoids. It's for this reason that researchers believe that a small population of these creatures exist in hard-to-reach regions, noting that the trees and dense forests allow for the perfect cover. Right now, scientists have said that further evidence is needed in order to prove that they are genuine, but with the advancements of drone technology and infrared cameras, some have said that it's only a matter of time before we capture evidence that can no longer be ignored. Jungles are some of the least explored places on the planet. Many of the world's jungles are located in remote, hard-to-reach areas, which makes them difficult to explore. In addition, the dense vegetation, uneven terrain, and harsh climate in jungles can make exploration challenging. Many parts of the jungle remain unexplored, and new species of plants and animals are often discovered in these areas. However, with advances in technology and increased interest in conservation, efforts to explore and study jungles are ongoing, and we continue to learn more about these incredible ecosystems. One of these jungle mysteries is that of the spiny-backed chimpanzee, a mysterious humanoid that has reportedly been encountered throughout the Democratic Republic of Congo, and it's been suggested by some researchers that the spiny-backed chimpanzee is an entirely new species not known to science. This ape is described as being large in size, having a broad face, not being afraid of humans, and having grey fur. Unlike other mysterious creatures encountered throughout the area, the alleged sightings of these mysterious chimpanzee are quite recent. It's believed the first encounters with the creatures happened in the year 2000, with the story stating that a group of Navy SEALs encountered a chimpanzee that had spines on its back. According to one encounter by a Navy officer who wishes to remain anonymous, his unit encountered 13 strange bipedal chimpanzees, stating that they were quite aggressive and looked slightly different to normal chimpanzees. The group of chimpanzees were observed trying to take down other animals, but the soldiers said they were able to identify how tall they were due to comparing them to nearby trees, saying that they measured between 4 to 6 feet and had a grey colour. However, the most distinctive feature of these chimpanzees was the series of protruding spines on their backs. Whenever these chimps became agitated, the spines on their back stood up like porcupine quills. One of the Navy officers who saw this also stated that his team members made a 3-minute video of these strange animals, but said that the video was never released to the public, and it remains a military secret. The officer did not tell the exact location of the sighting. However, it's believed that the sighting was made somewhere near Lake Tanganyika in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Spiny-backed chimpanzee is one of the strangest creatures ever reported, and the researchers believe that the jungles of Africa could potentially host hundreds of unexplored species. The spiny-backed chimpanzee could be an undiscovered species with a very small population, and could very well be extinct by now. Some have linked this creature to the Bili ape, but said that the only thing that's different about this creature and the Bili ape is that of the spines. However, as some have pointed out, the Bili ape was once thought to have not existed, but fast forward a couple of decades, and scientists were able to prove that it was in fact a real animal. Some have suggested that the same could happen with the spiny-backed chimpanzee. There are many areas of the Congo that haven't been explored, and somewhere out there could be lurking a species of apes that match the description of the spiny-backed chimpanzees. The soldiers haven't come forward with any more details, and researchers who've looked into these reports have said that it's likely they were told to be quiet. Over a century ago, Belgium colonizers found a large primate skull during their rampage in the northern Congo. The locals would tell them stories of mysterious large apes that would attack and eat lions. Gorillas were never before found in this region of northern Congo, so researchers and explorers were confused and intrigued. They believed it to be an entirely new species of ape, although they never found any additional evidence or proof of life. The skull was promptly left to collect dust in the Royal Museum for Central Africa in Belgium until the 1990s, when Carl Ammann read about them in a scientific article. He was a Swiss-born photographer and devoted conservationist. Interested by the skull's puzzle, he set off on an adventure through the dense jungles that few had traversed before. The Bili tropical forest covers 12,000 square miles and is a mix of impenetrable canopy and large stretches of savanna. The researchers had to trek through an impenetrable underbrush full of ants, mosquitoes, and bees that were drawn to their sweat. Despite being such a difficult undertaking, Ammann ended up repeatedly visiting the forest over the span of 10 years, with various rangers, camera crew, and primatologists trying to find the elusive Bili apes. On his first trip, he found another ape skull, which only increased his obsession. In 2004, American primatologist Cleve Hicks joined the search. He spent weeks traversing through the forest trying to find the apes. He and his team set up motion-detecting cameras and eventually captured images of the elusive Bili apes. As it turns out, they were not a new species. They were chimpanzees. However, they were unlike any chimpanzees the researchers had seen before. They had larger skulls and feet when compared to other chimpanzees. Their behavior was unique in that they nested on the ground like gorillas instead of in the canopy. They also used the longest tools researchers had seen in Africa to collect ants and honey. On one expedition, researchers came across a chimpanzee eating a leopard, although they did not know whether the chimp had attacked it or not. The locals called them lion destroyers and explained that even their poison darts would not affect the apes. Hicks stated that they were the largest population of wild chimpanzees anywhere in the world. He claimed that they were curious of the humans rather than fearful, which led him to believe that they had never seen humans before. Those that lived closer to civilization would flee when approached, but the apes further into the jungle would gather close to observe before quietly leaving. Since they lived in such remote parts of the jungle, it was near impossible for poachers or other hunters to encounter them. Today, the forest is a hiding spot for many fugitives or rebel groups and is being turned into farmland. The Bili forest is a vast area of dense tropical rainforest located in the northwestern region of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, near the border with the Central African Republic. The forest is known for its remarkable biodiversity and is considered one of the most important wilderness areas in Central Africa. The Bili forest is home to a wide variety of plant and animal species, including rare and endangered species such as forest elephants, chimpanzees, gorillas, and okapis. It's also home to several indigenous communities who have lived in the forest for generations and have developed a deep understanding of its ecology and resources. Despite its importance as a wildlife sanctuary, the Bili forest is facing numerous threats, including deforestation, poaching, and mining. The forest is also affected by ongoing conflict in the region, which has made conservation efforts difficult. Nonetheless, conservation organizations and local communities are working together to protect the forest and its inhabitants and to promote sustainable livelihoods that respect the forest's biodiversity and cultural heritage.
Mysterious geoglyphs reveal Amazon was densely populated. Once thought to be an untouched paradise, the pre-Columbian Amazon may have actually been home to millions of people. Until recently, it was assumed that the Amazon was a pristine paradise with only a few groups of nomadic people living around the Amazon River to sustain themselves. New research in the Brazilian state of Mato Grosso suggests a new story entirely. As it turns out, the rainforest could have actually been home to millions living in large interconnected villages. With much of the region covered in dense forest, the area has always been challenging to navigate for any archaeologist interested in finding out more about how Amazonians lived away from the river and its resources. Using satellite imagery, teams were able to identify geoglyphs, which are ancient geometric ground drawings made by humans out of the earth, stone, and low-relief mounds, presumably part of a ritual for the gods, especially in times of drought. Once they had the geoglyphs, the team went into the field to the precise locations to see if they could actually find any remnants of ancient civilizations there. They were overjoyed when all 24 areas they visited contained some form of proof that people had lived there. In one site, they found old ceramics estimated to be from 1410 AD. After returning to their labs, they then used their findings to predict the locations of other possible sites, which revealed there are likely 1,300 villages and geoglyphs in the 154,000 square mile area of southern Amazonia, 2/3 of which have yet to be found. The research team now believes that between 500,000 and 1 million people once lived in a mere 7% of the Amazon basin. Prior to this research, it was estimated that the entire basin had only ever been home to 2 million people. The possibility of there being even more sites suggests that these interconnected villages spanned over 1,100 miles during their peak years between 1200 and 1500 AD. It appears that there are more discoveries to be found in the Amazon.
According to a report in Nature in 2015, the Large Hadron Collider, which is the biggest and most potent particle accelerator worldwide, is set to be reactivated in the upcoming days. Despite the global anticipation surrounding this event, there are two individuals who have chosen to keep quiet: Walter Wagner, a former nuclear safety official, and Luis Sancho, a journalist from Spain. They have involvement with the Large Hadron Collider and have decided to come forward with an interesting revelation. Months prior to the planned initiation of the particle collider in 2008, Wagner and Sancho took legal action against the entities responsible for this colossal device. The plaintiffs were the US Department of Energy, Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory, National Science Foundation, and the European Organization for Nuclear Research. It requires immense courage and, perhaps, a touch of irrationality to attempt legal action against any of these institutions, filled with some of the most brilliant minds in the world. This is even more challenging when it happens right before the completion of a $6 billion, 3-decade-long project. In the defense of Wagner and Sancho, they believed they were trying to prevent what seemed like an inevitable and devastating catastrophe. The Large Hadron Collider's potential to generate a miniature black hole that could engulf the Earth was one of their primary concerns. They expressed this worry in their legal action. They said that in due course, the entire Earth would be drawn towards an expanding micro-black hole, resulting in the transformation of our planet into a medium-sized black hole. Consequently, the Moon, satellites, the International Space Station, and other celestial objects would continue to revolve around it. The lawsuit was eventually rejected due to the men's inability to provide evidence of a believable intention to cause harm. Although their concerns were unfounded, considering that the Earth has continued to exist, despite the Large Hadron Collider operating for several consecutive years, it is essential to comprehend the safety aspects associated with utilizing the Large Hadron Collider for scientific purposes. Wagner and Sakos presented a lawsuit with 3 concerns. However, it is important to understand why none of these concerns should be a cause for worry. Black holes, which are immensely dense objects, have a mass range that can be as small as 4 to 200 million times the mass of our Sun. Although black holes are typically very large, it is theoretically possible for a small amount of matter, on the scale of tens of micrograms, to be compressed tightly enough to create a black hole. Such a black hole would be considered microscopic in size. Up until now, there have been no instances of the creation or observation of a minuscule black hole, including at the Large Hadron Collider. However, prior to its initial operation in 2008, Wagner and Sancho expressed concerns that the high-speed acceleration and collision of subatomic particles could potentially result in the formation of an extremely dense particle amalgamation capable of giving birth to a black hole. According to the renowned astrophysicist Stephen Hawking, there is an alternative theory that suggests that even if a tiny black hole were to be created within the Large Hadron Collider, it would rapidly break apart and would not pose any danger to the survival of our planet. Black holes, as understood in general relativity, are formed when massive stars collapse under their own gravity, leading to a region of space-time where gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape. Considering this, the likelihood of creating a black hole under the conditions found in the Large Hadron Collider seems unlikely, as the energies and densities achieved there are far lower than those in stellar processes. However, the black holes in question regarding the Large Hadron Collider are not those of classical general relativity, but rather speculative objects predicted in some theories of quantum gravity, such as string theory. These theories propose additional spatial dimensions beyond the familiar three, and it is in these extra dimensions that microscopic black holes could theoretically form at the Large Hadron Collider. In these theories, gravity becomes much stronger at small distances than currently observed, allowing for the creation of micro-black holes when particles collide at sufficiently high energies. The energies achievable at the collider, while impressive by human-made standards, are still far below the levels typically associated with black hole production. Yet, if additional dimensions significantly alter gravity's behavior at small scales, black holes could potentially form at the Large Hadron Collider. Despite the theoretical possibility, there is no empirical evidence that such processes occur in nature, despite particles interacting at energies far higher than those achievable by the collider in cosmic ray collisions in Earth's atmosphere. Moreover, if these hypothetical black holes were created, they would be expected to decay almost instantaneously through a process known as Hawking radiation, posing no threat. Additionally, thorough safety reviews conducted by CERN and the wider scientific community have concluded that the Large Hadron Collider is safe. They argue that if such microscopic black holes could be created in particle collisions, they would also be produced by cosmic rays and would have already caused noticeable effects which we do not observe. The cosmos, with its infinite expanse and myriad celestial bodies, often astounds us with its proclivity for spectacular events. However, certain scenarios elicit more apprehension than wonder, one of which is the hypothetical situation of a black hole approaching the Milky Way. Black holes are objects of extreme density, with gravitational fields so powerful that nothing, including light, can escape. The consequences of a black hole's approach towards our galaxy would largely depend on its mass and trajectory. If it were a small black hole, like those formed by stellar collapse, it would likely go unnoticed unless it passed extremely close to our solar system, disrupting the orbits of planets and possibly leading to mass extinction on Earth. However, if a supermassive black hole, millions or billions of times the mass of our Sun, were to approach the Milky Way, the implications would be far-reaching and devastating. Our galaxy, like most, has its own supermassive black hole, Sagittarius A, at its center. The dynamics between these two immense objects would become crucial. An incoming black hole would start disrupting the outer regions of the Milky Way, causing gravitational perturbations that might send some stars hurtling into intergalactic space while pulling others into erratic, high-speed orbits. This disturbance would ripple inwards, significantly perturbing the galactic disk and potentially triggering a burst of star formation due to the compression of gas and dust. If the incoming black hole were to reach the central regions of our galaxy, it would engage in a gravitational dance with Sagittarius A. This binary system of two massive black holes orbiting each other would cause further chaos, flinging stars out of the galaxy or into the black holes. Eventually, gravitational radiation would cause the two black holes to merge in a violent event, sending ripples through space-time known as gravitational waves. Post-merger, the newly formed supermassive black hole would likely settle at the center of the galaxy. Depending on the energy and momentum carried away by the gravitational waves, the galaxy could either be left with a significantly disturbed but still recognizable structure or be torn apart entirely, its stars scattered across the universe. The effects on Earth would depend on our planet's distance from these cataclysmic events. At our current location, about 26,000 light-years from the galactic center, we would likely be safe from immediate harm, but might witness a spectacular display in the sky as the galaxy's structure is dramatically altered. However, it is important to note that such an event is highly unlikely given our current understanding of the universe. Black holes, while abundant, are spread out over vast distances. Furthermore, their movements are largely governed by the distribution of mass in the universe, making a direct collision course with our galaxy incredibly improbable. This unusual photo has started to circulate on the internet, displaying a sizable object being lit up by the moon's glow. This occurrence took place over China, and witnesses described it as a flawless rectangular shape. What makes this sighting perplexing is the fact that it is not the first time that such a rectangular object has been observed. In China, residents have reported a similar sighting above the Shandong province, an area renowned for peculiar sightings. According to individuals who witnessed the mysterious object, the object in question was difficult to perceive and only became apparent if one was standing in the correct location. The presence of moonlight aided in the visibility of the object, causing some observers to describe it as sizable, yet they were perplexed by its ability to remain suspended in the sky. This phenomenon sparked the sharing of photographs among online communities that investigate mysterious sightings, prompting other residents to come forward with their sighting. The world of unidentified objects and reports is filled with a variety of shapes and descriptions, from the classic disc shape to cigar-shaped objects. But one of the more unique sightings involves a glowing rectangle. The object was initially noticed around 9 in the evening and was described as a radiant light in the sky. It rapidly grew in both size and brightness, eventually resembling a large glowing rectangle. It moved with an eerie silence, and the light it emitted pulsed in a rhythmic pattern. Such consistent geometric form is not commonly reported in sightings, making this an exceptional case. The rectangle's luminosity, hovering stability, and silence ruled out common explanations like conventional aircraft or drones. Some of the residents who witnessed the aircraft said that over the next several hours, the glowing rectangle remained stationary, its pulsating glow making it easily visible. Those who were on the scene said that after a while, it began to fade and ascend until it disappeared. This departure further contradicts typical aircraft behavior, adding to the case's uniqueness. Following the sighting, theories proliferated in an attempt to explain the glowing rectangle. Skeptics suggested it could be an elaborate hoax involving lasers and mirrors, an atmospheric phenomenon, or an experimental military aircraft. However, no evidence supported these theories, and the size, silence, and behavior of the rectangle made them unlikely. Believers and enthusiasts, on the other hand, proposed other ideas. Some suggested it was an interdimensional craft, based on its geometric perfection and the odd pulsing of its light. Others hypothesized that it was an extraterrestrial probe or communication device, given its stationary hovering and seemingly purposeful light patterns. This sighting gained little attention, but prompted analyses from independent researchers. The data, however, proved inconclusive, with no clear patterns or readings explaining the object's origin or purpose. China, being one of the oldest civilizations with rich cultural and historical heritages, has also been home to numerous unidentified object sightings over the years. These incidents, ranging from rural farmlands to bustling urban areas, have inspired a surge of interest in both the general populace and scientific community alike. In the early 1980s, China saw a significant increase in sightings. Reports came from a variety of sources, including civilians, pilots, and even military personnel. For instance, one of the most widely reported cases occurred in July 1981, where multiple witnesses reported a spinning, glowing object emitting various colored lights that hovered in the sky before disappearing suddenly. The event sparked a media frenzy and remains unexplained. Another well-documented case occurred when an airport in Hangzhou had to halt operations due to a mysterious object seen hovering close to the area. A glowing object was spotted in the sky, leading to flights being grounded for an hour. The sighting was confirmed by radar readings and photographic evidence, resulting in a wave of speculation and discussions across the globe. Chinese authorities later suggested that the object was probably related to military testing, yet concrete evidence or further explanation was never presented. China's most recent wave of sightings happened in 2021, when residents in Shanghai and Beijing reported seeing a string of glowing objects moving across the sky. The authorities claimed they were satellites from SpaceX's Starlink project, but many researchers noted the unusual formation and speed, which did not align with the usual patterns of satellite movement. These examples illustrate the variety and frequency of sightings in China. Chinese officials' usual explanation tends towards rational causes, such as military exercises, atmospheric phenomena, or man-made objects like satellites and drones. However, the lack of detailed official reports and the cessation of research by the Chinese Academy of Sciences often leave these incidents shrouded in mystery, leading to a burgeoning interest in amateur research groups and online forums. Interestingly, China's historical records and folklore are also rich with accounts of strange aerial phenomena. Classic texts like the Book of the Jinn and Zhuozhuan include descriptions of pearl-like objects in the sky or fireballs chasing each other, showing that China's history with UFO phenomena extends far back in time. Utsuro-bune, often translated as hollow ship, is a mysterious event embedded in the rich tapestry of Japanese folklore and mythology. With the earliest written account dating back to the early 19th century, the tale blends elements of extraterrestrial encounters with a cultural narrative, capturing the imagination of historians, researchers into the unknown, and the general public alike. The Utsuro-bune incident reportedly occurred in 1803, as documented in 3 Japanese texts. Despite minor discrepancies, the texts present a remarkably consistent narrative. Fishermen in the Hitachi province found an unusual boat-shaped object drifting near the coastline. The craft, about 3.3 meters high and 5.4 meters wide, had a metallic outer layer and a top made of transparent crystal or glass. This detail, combined with the vessel's seemingly seamless construction, has led many modern readers to draw parallels with unidentified objects. The vessel's occupant was a woman of extraordinary beauty, estimated to be around 18 to 20 years old. She did not speak any recognizable language and carried a small box that she allowed no one to touch. Additionally, the interior of the ship allegedly contained inscriptions of an unknown language or script, adding to the overall mystery. Despite the language barrier, the woman was said to have communicated non-verbally with the locals, who provided her with food and drink. She then re-entered the ship, which drifted away and disappeared from sight. The encounter, brief and benign, nevertheless left a lasting impression on the fishermen and local community, ultimately making its way into folklore and history. Interpretations of the incident are wide-ranging. Traditionalists regard the story as supernatural folklore, symbolic of cultural fears or societal issues of the time. Meanwhile, those who research the unknown argue that the encounter is an account of a close encounter of the third kind, pointing out the similarities between the descriptions of the vessel and its occupant with modern sightings and reports of unknown entities. Skeptics, however, propose more grounded explanations. One theory suggests the woman might have been a foreign princess, banished after a political coup, with the unknown language being an unfamiliar foreign language. The box she carried could have contained a royal emblem or personal keepsake, explaining her reluctance to let others touch it. Another hypothesis proposes the woman was a Russian or European castaway, given the proximity of the Hitachi province to the Pacific Ocean. In recent years, the story has been analysed through the lens of cultural tracking, an academic approach to folklore that examines how narratives evolve over time and across cultures. Interestingly, parallels have been drawn between the incident and the European ship of fools narrative, where a ship carries individuals isolated due to non-conforming behaviour. This theory suggests that the story may have evolved from the interaction between Japanese and European seafarers, morphing over time into the narrative known today. The incident remains a cultural enigma, a testament to the enduring allure of the unknown. Whether viewed as an advanced encounter, a tale of supernatural phenomena, a reflection of societal issues, or an expression of human encounters with the foreign and unfamiliar, the story resonates across time and culture. It underlines the universal human fascination with the unexplained and continues to inspire conversations and research, echoing our collective quest to comprehend the mysteries of our world and beyond. So, what do you make of this mysterious photograph? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comments section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.